Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Cozy Reads. I hope you've all been keeping well. As you can probably tell by the title of today's video, this is another episode in the Journey of Life series, with this title focusing on the journey of financial stability. I wanted to make today's video to focus on daily life when it comes to money. This video isn't going to be a video on how to make money or how to become rich or anything like that. I wanted to make a more open and honest video, one that would be the beginning of a journey that all of us can go on together. As this is the Journey of Life series, I thought it would be prudent to put my money where my mouth was and go on a financial journey with you all. I wanted to do this so that, for one, I could use these videos to basically help myself, to keep myself accountable for my own finances, because I'm going to be building up my own finances over the next year and trying to make sure that by the end of next year I'm in a much better financial position than my current self. And two, I also wanted to use this to maybe help inspire some other people, whether they're young, whether they're old. Maybe just they can use these videos to help inspire them to basically be able to get their own financial stability and get their own finances in order, because I think it can be quite difficult to sort of figure out, especially when you're first starting out, in terms of working, in terms of renting, or getting your own place, or even just earning your own money to begin with. It can be difficult to try and figure out what you need to do, what things you need to get, how you can do things like build credit, how you can do things like save, how you can do things like make your money go further for you, how you can spend less, how you can maybe spend more affordably. There's like so many different things when it comes to money, and it can be difficult and overwhelming to sort of figure out ways to help yourself. So that was just something that I thought would be helpful to have this video and to have a series dedicated over the next couple months to hopefully a year, where you can sort of come back to these, or even just follow along with the journey from the beginning to the end, and hopefully maybe you can use some things from this to help yourself. So I just wanted to preface this by saying I'm not saying that I have all the answers when it comes to money. I'm still trying to figure things out for myself quite a bit. So a little bit about me. So I'm 27. I've been working for about 4-5 years, I think now. So I've been working for a little while. And I've done my undergraduate and then done my master's degree. So I've been sort of working for a little while, trying to, sort of build money and hopefully own my own place in the future. So that's been one of my dreams, is to be able to buy my own place. Whether I use it as a financial opportunity, so renting or selling it on in the future, or whether I use it as a place to live in, that depends on my situation at the time. But one of my dreams is to be able to save up and then finally be able to get to put down a good deposit and own my own place. So that's one of the sort of things that I'm working towards, and that's been something I've been working towards for the last couple of years. So like I say, I don't have all the answers because it's taken me years, and even now I'm still further back than I was before, in terms of making that dream a reality. So because of that, this is just me just being honest to say that hopefully with this journey I can learn something, maybe hopefully you can learn something, and then like I say, by the end of next year we could be in a better position than we are now. So just more in terms of what this video series will be. So I want it to be an experiment. So for me, basically it's not me sort of giving guidance or advice. It's me just sort of just being there, and then sort of just using this like as a journey for people to come back and check through. And like I say, just using it more as an experiment to see how far we can go and if we can improve our situations. There might be a little bit of guidance and advice sprinkled throughout, but again, I'm not an expert, so don't take my word as law. Just use it more as a way to help yourself. My main goal for all of this is to just basically try to figure out as best of an answer as we can. So myself and all of you out there, just trying to figure out the best of an answer as we can in terms of finances and in terms of getting ourselves in better positions, because we don't have to stay in the position that we're in. Just because you was born in a position, or just because you started out in a position, doesn't mean you have to stay in that position for the rest of your life. But sometimes you do have to work hard to get yourself out of that position. So I just wanted to basically use this because everyone is going to have their own answers. Everyone's unique and everyone's situation is unique. But if you can use these videos to basically help yourself to find the answer, then that can be good. Because remember, sometimes the answer isn't some big reveal kind of thing that will absolutely change your life and give you everything that you could ever dream of. Sometimes the answer could simply just be an idea. It could just be a means of making things work. And it might not be the right answer, but it's one of those where it might not give you the best outcome at that time. But so long as you keep working at it, keep refining it, and keep learning from it, then you can mold that answer and you can change it, find new answers, put things together until eventually you find an outcome that works for you. And that's what this video series is going to be. Hopefully going on a journey, finding different answers until we eventually find something that sticks. So because of that, view these videos as a journey, a timeline of trial and error as we try to navigate the minefield of money and financial stability together. And like I said, I'll try to be as honest as I can with everyone. And I have a couple of my own metrics that I'll be sharing on here as well. And hopefully those will help everyone to sort of give them something to base themselves on, or give them, sort of something to help keep track of, because I'll be using it to keep track myself, because it'll be my own metrics. And then hopefully we can build ourselves up together. All right, so now that I've got that preamble out the way, as you can probably tell, these videos aren't as scripted. I do have like a short script that I wrote down, but I do like to go off the top of my head with these videos, as I said in the first one. So I thought it'd be good to maybe talk about my current situation, just to give you some background of where we're going to be starting from. So currently I am renting privately. I used to live with my parents, but I don't anymore. It's like they don't live too far away from where I am anyway, so I do visit, from time to time as much as I can. But moved out on my own, moved in with my girlfriend, and we've been paying for this place together, and we then split the cost between us. So that's sort of my current situation. So literally the money that I get paid goes on to paying bills, goes on to paying rent, goes on to paying food, and of course, like I say, me and my girlfriend, we then split between us. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to the metrics. So the first one that I wanted to talk about was my credit score. So the credit score that I put up, this is my actual credit score at the time of writing this. So it's actually lower than what it used to be. I think it's at the lowest it's ever been at the moment. And I can honestly say a lot of that has been from moving into my own place, because there's been many things that I've had to pay for, getting the deposit and getting the rent, the first month's rent, and then sort of buying things for the place because it wasn't furnished. So there was a lot of different things I had to pay for, and I had to take out loans and everything else, and that absolutely just lambasted my credit score. So a bit about credit scores in general. So I got this definition from Investopedia, and I'll put a copy of it up on the screen. But essentially, what is a credit score? A credit score is a 3-digit number that rates your credit worthiness, with FICO scores ranging from 300 to 850. And then the higher score that you have, the more likely you are to get approved for loans and for better rates. So it also helps you with things like getting mortgages as well, things like getting car loans, all that kind of thing. So having a good credit score can help you out a lot when it comes to financing for things in the future. And that's why it's really important to be able to work on getting your credit score up to the best possible point that you can. So as you can see on the screen, my current credit score is 669. And this is using Experian credit score. So that's the main one that I've been using for a while. So their credit score range is between 0 and 999, with between 881 and 960 being good, and then 720 to 880 being fair. So right now I am in the poor category, which isn't the best at the moment. But like I said, over the next year we're going to work on trying to get our credit score up to as best we can. Hopefully we can get into good, but if we can get to fair to begin with and then slowly start to work our way up to good, then that'll be amazing. And like I say, you can also use this for yourselves as well. If you're also trying to work on your own credit scores, then we can keep track together and then see how well we're doing, see what changes we're making to hopefully improve our credit scores. And if we're struggling or if things aren't working out, we can then take a look at where we can improve or where we may be able to cut things out or do things better to help us in improving our credit score. So in terms of building your credit, there's quite a lot of different things that you can do. So I took some things from the Experian website. They have sort of 10 tips to help build your credit, which I'll put a link in the description anyway, so anyone, you can go and read that. But just a couple of the highlights that I thought would be interesting to put on here. So with some of the highlights that I got from Experian, so one of them was to keep your credit utilization low. So I think this is something that I didn't even really think about back when I, first started thinking about building credit, and back when I first started getting things like a credit card and started getting in-store credit and things like that, was I didn't really sort of pay too much attention in terms of how much I was using. It was just more so if I can pay back, then I'm happy. But it does make sense in terms of if you use up, for example, 30% as opposed to using 50%, then it just shows that you don't need to rely on that credit as much, but it still shows that you're using it and then paying it back. That's the main thing. So long as you use it and then pay it back, if you can keep it low as well, then it just helps to build that credit. So another one that I thought was quite interesting as well was to avoid moving home a lot. So I know that especially nowadays where it's more difficult to be able to find affordable housing, with a lot more people either living at home or staying in cheaper places, it can be a lot easier to just move from place to place whenever you find somewhere cheaper, or whenever you find like a place that might be better, like more affordable. But if it's possible, one of the things to try and do to help build your credit is again to just keep that moving around as low as you can, because then at least it shows that you got stability and that you can stay in one place for a decent amount of time and be paying rent, can be paying things off at a good rate without missing any payment dates or anything like that. So I thought those were quite interesting, and I just thought to share those. So I've been tracking my credit score for, I think, around sort of 2-3 years. I've been tracking it for a little while now, and it's gone up and down throughout that whole time. It's fluctuated quite a bit. So it started out, I think, at a decent amount. I can't exactly remember how much it was at, but I think it was at something maybe like 700 or something, and then I managed to get it up, and then it dropped, and then I managed to get it up again because I went through about a year where I did sort of good saving. I was paying everything off on time. I wasn't using credit as much, so because of that, I managed to get it to a very sort of decent score. I think I managed to get it up to something like 770 or 780 or something. It was quite high. I was almost to 800, which I was pretty proud of. Then it dropped. So it goes up and down quite a bit, but I think that's one of the main things, is that you don't allow when it drops to sort of hold you back and then be like, oh, I'm never gonna be able to get it up, because you can get it back up again. That's one of the main things of credit, is that if it drops, you can always come back up again. So long as you're consistent, as long as you work towards building it back up, it will come back up again. So some of the things I have credit on, I don't have credit on too many different things. I've got a credit card, and then I've just got in-store credit. So I've got a credit card, and I've got in-store credit with Argos, and then I have a Monzo card, and I use their Monzo Flex service as well. So that's also credit that I use. So it's just them three things really. Those are the only things I have credit on. I don't drive currently, so I don't have a car loan. I'm renting, so I don't have mortgage, anything like that. So yeah, so those are the things that I have on credit. And so my plan now is to try and grow it as much as I can. So that's one of the reasons for making this video, and one of the reasons for keeping track of everything, is to try and grow my credit as much as I can. So by doing things like paying off the things I have. So with my in-store credit, I have I think I've used about £600 on it. So I'm going to be paying that off as soon as I can. And then it's my Monzo Flex card as well. That's where a bulk of my credit is. So I'm going to be paying that off as quickly as I can. So it's just sort of paying things off as fast as possible, while also making sure that I could still live a decent life. So pay it off as quickly as I can, but don't sort of just pump all my money into it, because I won't have anything else left for anything else. So I do believe that you can live still a happy, decent life. You can still enjoy yourself and still spend on the things that you want to spend on, while at the same time paying off credit. So long as you can be disciplined with yourself and say, okay then, so when I've paid off this amount, I have to make sure I don't use any credit that comes up to what I paid, because at least then you'll slowly be paying it off bit by bit by bit until eventually it's all gone. So that's my next goals for this next year. So we'll see how it goes. So in terms of being honest, I wanted to also show you the credit that I actually have. So like I said, I've got my Monzo Flex account, and I've put an image up in terms of how much I've used on that, so how much I'm going to need to be paying back. So it's it's a little bit strange in how they do it in terms of the amount that you see. So about 2,000 amount, that is actually how much I've used as opposed to how much I have. But I think there might be a number like at the below it that shows how much I have left. But yeah, like that big number, that's how much I've used. So I've been using my Monzo Flex account for about 2 years, I think. Yeah, about a year or 2 years I've been using it. So in the beginning, I never even used to touch it just because I didn't really understand it too much. So I never even used to use it. And then once I started to understand it, I started to use it a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then sort of just things just started piling on. So I had various different things happen all in one go. We moved house. Like our dog died, which was quite sad, and then we had to pay vet bills as well as your cremation bills and bills for the casket and everything. And then because we moved house, there was quite a lot of expenditure with that as well in terms of hiring moving companies and everything else. And this was me and my family moving. And then after that, a couple months later, I then moved out myself because of work. So I managed to get a permanent job where I was working. And because of that, I was like, I need to be closer now because they wanted me in the office more. So I had to move out again, which then cost even more money. And then, like I said before, I moved into an unfurnished place, cost even more money. So it was just loads of different things happened throughout the year that just piled on in terms of costs. And then now living on my own as well, living with my girlfriend as well, we have our own things we have to pay for. So it's like loads of different things happening that have piled on. So that's why it's one of those where it doesn't affect me too much, or it doesn't annoy me too much in terms of, I've used up X amount of credit, or I've had some more savings, it's annoying, whatever. It doesn't affect me too much because I know that it was for important things, that like I felt like I had to pay for at the time anyway. So, and it's something that I know I can build back up again. It might take me some time, but I can build myself back up again. It just means now for next year, to make up for this year, I'm going to have to be disciplined as I can be, basically, to sort of build back up what I lost out on this year. So that's my main goal for next year. So that's the main thing for the Monzo Flex account and for the Argos credit account as well, which I'll put a picture up of that as well, and then you can sort of see how much I've used on there, how much I've got to pay back. And then each week I'll be showing them to see how much they've gone down, see how much I've used, see whether I'm on track or not. And like I say, you can then use that as an indicator for yourself. And then I can then, as we're going, it should hopefully go down. Once it reaches 0, we can then look back and then sort of see how the journey went. Because there might be fluctuations, there might be times where I manage to pay more off, there might be times I manage to pay less off, there might be times where I end up using more than I needed to by accident, there might be times when I end up using less, which would be great. So you'll be able to sort of see the fluctuations, and you'll be able to see for yourself to be like, when it comes to building financial stability, it's not a straight road and there is ups and downs. But at least hopefully that can help you to get your own finances in order as well. So one of the things I wanted to discuss as well is in terms of my weekly split. This will be something as well that I'll be keeping track of, and I'll be mentioning in each video as well, even if we look at this each week. But my weekly split, basically, when breaking down my income against my outgoings, I'll have about £150 left at the end of everything. But that's sort of including paying for travel to work and paying for you're paying for all my bills and paying for rent and everything else. So that 150 that is now to pay for food, but for food for the house, that's covered by my girlfriend. So that 150 is just for my own food, for my own lunch, or for my own going out money, or if I wanted to buy anything else or whatever else. So it's a decent amount, but again, it's for the whole month. So I've broken it down to sort of about £30 a week that I've given myself. So I've told myself, right, so I have £30 a week that I'm allowed to spend. I do have some extra money on the side for emergencies and everything else. So like I say, that £30 a week, that's just my own spending. But it means I have to be strict to myself to say, okay, I'm in the office 2 days each week. That's my usual split. So 3 days work at home, 2 days in the office. Before, I used to like to go out and then buy lunch when I'm working at home, because we have a shop that's about a 5 to 10 minute walk from where we live. So I used to like to go there and buy some lunch. When I'm in the office, I used to like to buy lunch as well from the cafeteria because the food there is quite nice. But I realised it was adding up quite a bit. If I was spending about £10 each day, that's £50 a week. So that's coming up to £200 a month just on lunch. So I realized that's not manageable, and that's not even, thinking about like any extra things that I might need to buy. So like, things for the house, like milk, bread, all that kind of stuff, small things that you don't really think about, but they add up over time, then it makes the cost even more. So I realized that, okay, I can cut this down by quite a bit, so like I say, so by going at £30 each week, with the last week, I've told myself that week, on that weekend will be date night for me and my girlfriend. So because of that, I save up the money for that week, so I don't spend anything throughout the whole week. I just take pack lunches to work, I just eat at home, so then I can save up that £30, add on a little bit extra from my other money. So I might use a little bit on my flex account to add on a little bit extra, and then we can then go and do something for that weekend as like a treat kind of thing. So because of that, even though it's £30 a week, or £30 to £40 a week, that I've given myself the last week, I don't really count, as I'm promised myself I'm not going to spend anything that week, so I can spend it on the weekend. And because that's also pay week as well, then it means that I'll get paid before the weekend, so then it restarts everything again, and then we go again from the beginning. So by doing it like that, I think it helps me out quite a bit in terms of being able to save money, and we'll see how it goes. I mean like, it might be difficult to sort of maintain that. I might find it easy to maintain, but then I might realize, oh, maybe I need to cut back and actually spend less. Maybe I'll realize at the end of the month, oh, actually I do have a lot more money left over than I thought I would, so maybe either I can spend a little bit more, or I can carry on as I'm going, keep myself disciplined, and instead just the extra money, either use it to pay off credit or use it to go in my savings, so we can see how it goes. We can see the options, and then we can see sort of what the outcomes might be, and then where we can adjust if we need to adjust, or if it's working, or everything else. So I am excited to sort of see how this goes, and then keeping it track in videos. I think it's going to be quite fun as well, to sort of see how well I can maintain everything, and see how disciplined I can be, because by using the videos, it's going to be like an extra kind of, like, you have to keep on top of things, because now I've got video proof that if I don't, then like, I can see it on video and I can be like, damn, I really haven't been keeping on top of things. It's not just myself that's going to hold myself accountable, which I'm quite excited about. So to end off, I just wanted to talk about two different things. So one of them is how easy it can be to end up in bad financial positions, especially in today's day and age. I think with the cost of everything being so high, and people relying far more on credit than they ever did before, and credit also being a lot more accessible now than it ever was before, with so many different companies that can loan you so many different things. In-store credit is now just a normal thing for almost every company. You got things like Klarna, you've got things like PayPal, which even have like their own credit system of where you can pay back. Even Amazon now has their own credit system as well. So I feel like it's so easy now to be able to access all these different credit systems, especially if your credit score is at a decent level already, and you haven't really looked at credit before. Then it's such a easy position now to just take out all these different things, thinking, oh, I'll be able to pay them back, and then you forget what you've taken out, you forget what you have, you forget what you spent, and then before you know it, now you're in over your head. Now you've got all these different things you need to pay back. You got interest rates now piling up. And then now you're just like in a bubble, sort of like, what am I gonna do? Like, I barely even had enough to even afford what I needed to pay. Now I've also got interest rates piling on, so it's like, now I'm never gonna pay back. So I know it can be quite easy to end up in bad financial positions. I've seen it happen before. Like, I've seen it happen with my parents. I've struggled myself, and I've almost ended up in bad financial positions myself as well. But luckily, I was raised to sort of, put paying things back above everything else. It's like, you got to pay things back first. Make sure that whatever happens, I'm paying my bills on time. I'm paying rent on time. I'm paying, credit stuff on time. If it means that I have to go without food for a little while, it is what it is. I put myself in that position, so I have to hold myself accountable. I was raised like that, so that's one thing that I'm very much grateful for from my parents. But because of that, like, I also see how other people end up in bad financial positions, and it is quite sad. So that's why I just wanted to just offer just a little bit words of encouragement to be like, even though you might end up in a bad financial position, there is usually a way out. You know, there's usually people out there who can offer help and support. You know, there are companies who can consolidate your debts together, and then you pay them back over, like you pay back a smaller amount. It might take longer to pay it all back, but at least it becomes more manageable. You know, there are sort of facilities out there. There's help with the councils as well. Some councils can help out, support. I've worked with councils before who offered sort of like a secondary kind of support for people who needed financial help, and that was a massive help for a lot of people who were struggling at a particular time, and they just needed some help, got the help from the council, and then were able to then get themselves back on track. So, you know, there's plenty of different help out there, but I know also as well, sometimes you're in a unique situation where it feels like there is no help whatsoever, but always try and reach out to certain people who can help. You know, always try and do your research. I'll try and add some links below to sort of different organizations that might be able to help out people who might be struggling, because I do know it can be quite easy to end up in those positions. And to be honest, I can't offer any much answer in terms of, you know, what you can do to get yourself out of it, because everyone's situation is unique. All I can do is to say that just try and speak to as many professionals and as many helpful people as you can, and hopefully you'll be able to get something out of it. So to just finish off with the second thing, I wanted to talk about the split for these videos. So before, I was releasing, you know, sort of story videos twice a week. Sometimes I'll release a different type of video like this one, and then my original plan was to release these videos once a month, but because of me doing this in terms of, you know, trying to be consistent with my money and everything, and trying to get my financial stability back up, I thought it would be interesting instead to do these videos once a week, and then do a story video once a week as well, and instead, you know, use these videos to help keep track of everything. And like I said, because then I can be doing it weekly, seeing for myself, and then having you guys see as well, and then we can, you know, see if it benefits or like any of us. But yeah, so that is this video. Like I said, it was a lot more free form, so it might sound like it's all over the place, but hopefully it can be beneficial and helpful. And future videos, I'll try and either consolidate them so that they're a little bit shorter. I'll try and make them maybe less freeform if people don't like that, and maybe a little bit more scripted or a little bit more structured if people like that structured process instead. But yeah, I just also wanted to quickly add at the end here that I am based in the UK, so everything that I've mentioned throughout this video and throughout this series will be based off of UK's credit system. I'm not too familiar with other countries' credit systems, like America's, for example, but yeah, but maybe you can still use this to help you out. But I just thought to mention that as well, just in case if people are wondering. So to finish off, as always, I hope that you have sufficiently warmed up, and that this story or this video has brought you some level of comfort. And I wish you safe travels on the journey of life, and feel free to come back again whenever you need a new story to warm your day.